ZNS Total Sports is brought to you by Fourth Terrace Diagnostic Center.
Welcome to sports, everybody. 2 days finished up at the Frank Pancho-Ramming National Primary School Track and Field Championships. And as Charles Fisher tells us, this year's meet is truly encompassing the entire Bahamas.
A record 34 Family Island schools are taking part, more than New Providence and Grand Bahama combined. Central and North Duluth report a total of 45, same as North, Central Andros and the Berry Islands. Central Abaco with 29 and Cat Island with 21. And unlike athletes from New Providence and Grand Bahama, Family Island athletes don't normally get that exposure.
Gives them the opportunity to see how it feels, and they get to interact with different athletes and know what's expected of them in the long run, and to compete not only island-wide but the Bahamas in general, and maybe to do something international.
It's great exposure because the level of competition, the amount of schools that's there. The children realize coming from the islands that you have to put in the work, you have to train in order to compete.
We came for national high school, so it was fitting that we participated in a primary school meet. Even though, depending on our circumstances, it's always to give the kids an exposure at this level.
It's great for them. They are really excited, and they're ready to win, and they've been doing well.
Another disadvantage for the Family Islanders is finance.
We have a few top athletes who couldn't make the trip. I think what we need to do, at least a school like my school, we're the largest school on Abaco. We need to raise funds from the beginning back like in September. And I think if the school can do that or allow us to do that, we'd be able to assist those children whose parents are not as fortunate.
We stepped in, the coaches, the principal, the district superintendent, and helped some of the students who were not as fortunate.
Even though we had preparation for previous years, putting in the information in, it took a little while getting the parents because of the funds, and then when you did get the funds, then you'll hear that, well, we didn't have, it was in the meal time, so it was a lot of glitches, but we were happy that we were able to make it.
All in all, the coaches are pleased with the way their athletes have competed against the best over the past 2 days, with one more day of competition to go. For ZNS Total Sports, I'm Charles Fisher.
The NCAA Division I Track and Field Regionals underway at the East Regionals in Jacksonville. Purdue's Samson Colebrook first out of the blocks for the Bahamas in the prelims of the men's 100 meters. He was fourth in his heat in 10.35 seconds, 15th overall. That was good enough to secure a lane in the quarterfinals tomorrow. Two Bahamians in the women's 400-meter prelims, both running out of Heat 1. Donisha Anderson from Florida in Lane 4. Western Kentucky's Juana Lewis in Lane 8. Juana finished second in the heat in 53.06 and was an automatic qualifier for the quarterfinals tomorrow. Donisha fifth in the heat in 53.99, and she had to wait to see if that time would hold up, but it didn't, so she will not be moving on. And we can tell you, still to come tonight, Southeast Louisiana's Donovan Storr. He will be the last Bahamian to go in the East Regional in Heat 1, Lane 2 of the men's 400 prelims. The first three in the heat and the next six fastest times moving on to the next round. Two Bahamians competing in the West Regional tonight as well. In Sacramento, UTEP's Dreshnay Roll, Heat 5, Lane 2 of the women's 400 hurdle prelims. Those on the track as we speak. Arkansas's Laquan in the first round, the men's long jump. He's the 11th jumper in Flight 3. The top 12 making it through to the NCAA Championships, and those going on as we speak as well. Conference tournament action continuing in the NCAA Division I baseball season. The Lipscomb Bison opening up the Atlantic Sun tournament last night with a 12-11 loss in 10 innings against Jacksonville. Tevin Simonet finishing up 2 for 4, a double, 2 runs scored. Now the Bison right back on the field today in an elimination game with Stetson. The Bison were down 4-0 in the bottom of the ninth, but rallied to force extra innings. Simonet currently 0 for 5 with a walk, and we can tell you that game in the bottom of the 12th inning, 6-5 Stetson up. Also last night, St. Louis, they would lose to Rhode Island 2-1 in another 10-inning game. That was a losers bracket game in the Atlantic 10. Cole Dubé playing in his final game as a senior. He finished up 0 for 4, and for the season he had 7 home runs, 37 runs batted in, and 36 runs scored, a batting average of .317, and that was good enough to be named to the second team all-conference. As for Aubrey Major, his Xavier Musketeers, they open Big East tournament play tonight against St. John's. First pitch there is expected in a couple minutes' time, as they have gone, the first game that is, was a little longer than they expected. From the minor league baseball diamond last night, Anthony Seymour, he was 1 for 3 in Jacksonville's 7-0 shutout loss to Mississippi. Now Lucius Fox, he was also 1 for 3 last night. A run scored, 2 stolen bases, giving him 16 on the season. Montgomery, they ended their losing skid of 3 games. They won 3-0 over Jackson, and Jackson gave Jazz Chisholm the night off. 2 games tonight in the New Providence Softball Association. In ladies play, the Strikers taking on the Warriors. As for the men, that will be between the Chances Mighty Mitts and the Commando Security Truckers. Now we can tell you earlier in the week, the Brockettes opened their season with a big win, 17-2 over the University of the Bahamas Mingos, and that gave Alcott Forbes his first win in the coaching box.
I believe this is a good time for me to start giving back to the game. And so after Mr. Fernando, a softball icon, came to me with the idea, I was more than happy to embrace it. However, tonight, I tried to bring some new things with respect to the game and having respect to the game and punting the ball and doing a lot of things. And so the girls are very receptive to the instructions. The girls did very well. I believe the pitcher on the opposite side, she isn't one of the top pitchers in the league, but she did her best. And so I can't wait to see better pitching, to see what the team gives me. And so I look forward to a very successful 2019 season.
For the Mingos, they're a relatively young team, and Coach Shane Albury knows there will be some growing pains along the way.
But overall, I'm proud of the effort that the ladies gave. We have a few players on the team that have been around the game for a while. And, those players you expect to carry the team. But when you have the quote-unquote veterans on the team making errors, it'll come back to haunt you. As the season goes, we will continue to improve, we continue to practice, and we will get better. I certainly look forward to UB Mingos winning a few games this season.
The Aquinas Aces senior boys soccer team making their presence felt in 2019. They finished as runners-up in the BAISS private school season and took home 3rd place at Nationals. Coach Raymond Knight says his team worked hard and he believes they can be contenders for years to come.
Once you have a key element, with a good human resource, and we have the boys here with talent, nothing can stop us. I will lose about 8 boys, but we have a good replacement coming up from a junior squad. And so we have at least a total of 40-something boys, between the junior and the senior boys. And so once they go out, we have more building up and coming through. So we have boys to replace those who go in. They're very, very young, which is a good thing. So we have them for a couple of years.
It's definitely been a busy time for soccer in the country. In addition to high school, the club season recently came to an end. Team Bahamas just back from the CONCACAF Beach Soccer Championships. The BFA, they just hosted their 50th anniversary gala banquet as well. And we can tell you there's still more to come.
We have a D-licensed course coming up for coaching. We believe that the more coaches we have who are licensed with CONCACAF licensing and with an intensity of coaching that they can do, we believe that we can get better football going. So we're trying to get that started. Well, we are getting that started. So we are getting more licenses, and then we're getting better licenses as well. So our aim is to introduce a coaching academy so that we have X number of coaches who will then take on the coaching of all groups in a central spot or a couple of central spots, so that we're all teaching at a high level and the same stuff. So it means that in terms of the curriculum, it's been served throughout the island, all right, rather than have little groups doing their own things. And of course they'll still be part and parcel of their own groups and their own clubs as well. So the club system will remain. So we're excited, and we hope that's going to help us to move forward, because at the end of the day we want a strong national team.
Former boxer Vincent Seifert back in the ring as a coach. He spoke about what needs to be done to get the sport back to its glory days.
There needs to be a system whereas we have a continuous amateur boxing program, regardless of which government is in power or who is in power. Something continuous needs to be there. If we only do it for the kids, because we can take many kids off the streets, and once we know where they are, like I said before, we know they are not getting in any violence, joining any gangs. It gives them an outlet, somewhere to come, somewhere they can call home for 2-3 hours.
Well, we have an update from the NCAA Track and Field West Regional. Dreshne Roll just running for UTEP in the women's 400-meter hurdles. Right now, she's run 58.88, and we can tell you she has to wait for the last heat to see if she will move on to the quarterfinals tomorrow. Also from the NCAA Division I baseball season conference tournament, Lipscomb saw their season come to an end, losing to Stetson, a final there of 6-5. And that will do it for sports. Stay tuned and check on weather still to come.
ZNS Total Sports is brought to you by 4th Terrace Diagnostic Center.